Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you. I am working with a cut file from the Cut Shop, as well as several pieces of flair from a flair for buttons. So I started out and I cut the file called Beautiful You out of cardstock, and I paired it with this picture of my daughter and from last spring. And I was going to use it like this, and I was going to kind of play with it a little bit with the idea that my daughter's name is B. Then off camera, I went to rip off the right side of that white cardstock because I was thinking I could use it for something else later, and then I was just going to throw away the negative. But the negative fell onto the blue paper and I loved it, and I actually liked it better than um, for this layout anyway, than using the white letters by themselves. So I went with it. Then I decided that I would go ahead, since my daughter's name is B, I would go ahead and back the B part of Beautiful You with a different color of paper. And I end up going with this kind of pink, almost red paper. All of the papers I think that I'm using are from the Whimsical collection by Paige Taylor Evans. And so I thought I would go ahead and back that B with the pink kind of color and to add as a color, and I got out all of the beautiful flowers that I have the flower die cuts from this collection, thinking I was going to use a bunch of flowers. And then I saw these two new punches that I just purchased that are butterflies, two different sizes of butterflies. And I thought, maybe I'll punch a butterfly or two and stick that on there. And it ended up changing because I ended up deciding to go with all the butterflies and none of the flowers. So, let's see. So I went ahead and I grabbed several different patterned papers from the collection. Some of it you can see is scraps, and some of it is just from 12 by 12 sheets. And I just went ahead and grabbed all of them that looked interesting to me and cut out butterflies from those. I'm also still kind of messing around with the idea of adding a few flowers, adding some of the ephemera, because I got that all out because I have so much of it and I just love it. It's all so pretty. But I ended up sticking with, for the most part, all butterflies. I just kept punching more out and I was liking the way they were looking, and I was trying to get colors all over the page, and I just ended up really liking it. So I just went with that. And I like the way this ended up turning out. So now I'm going to glue down the butterflies. And when I'm doing this, I am gluing them down with my liquid glue, and I'm just gluing the very centers of them so that thinking that I would go ahead and stitch down the centers of them as well. And then that way they would be nice and stuck very nicely, and so I wouldn't have to worry about gluing the whole thing down, and then the butterfly wings can kind of stand out from the page and add a little bit of dimension to the page. So I'm just trying to add some, I wanted some kind of messy tissue paper around it, and then I ended up getting my scissors out instead of ripping. It still has a ripped look on parts of it, and I did rough it up so it does look better, but I was having a really hard time with that. So anyway, so then I'm going to take some of those same patterned papers that I used on the butterflies, and I'm going to add a couple layers behind my photo, just to add a little bit more color behind the photo. And I decided to just go ahead. I knew that the title was going to be Beautiful You and that it was going to be over on that left side, so I thought I might as well just glue it down so that I can get moving on with the rest of the layout and the embellishing pieces. So I go ahead and glue this down, and then I think off camera, I stitch all the way around that white cardstock so that, I don't know, it just adds a little something to it, and then I can rough up that jagged edge on the right side of the white paper also. So off camera, I stitch that down, and I stitch all of the little butterflies down right through the center. I think in a little bit, okay, so this, had I realized I was going to use the negative of this, I probably would not have cut out the star. I would have deleted that part of the file. Not because I don't like the star, actually, I do like the star, but by the time I went with using the negative, I decided kind of to stick with some butterflies and all of that, and so it doesn't really completely fit. So I just went ahead and stuck. My photo goes over it anyway. I like the placement of my photo over the top of that area, and then I end up putting a butterfly over the top as well. So adding another little blue piece of layer behind, and now I have also stitched it offline, so, or not offline, off camera. So I'm using my glue, and I did pop up my picture for a little bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue that to the background there, and then I'm not quite ready to glue everything else down yet, but I will in just a moment. So I also did my journaling off camera, and I just used my typewriter, and it says first weekend of summer, and that's in quotes because it's actually May, so it's not quite summer yet. But first weekend of summer was for swimming pools and tan lines, hashtag love. And then I do end up stamping the date as well on white paper and adding that. I decided to go ahead and kind of rough up that corner up there. I've been really into that lately. I have no idea what's up with the ripping of the paper in the corners because I just keep doing that. But I like the way it looks, so I'm doing it until I don't like it anymore. I went ahead and I'm stitching along on the blue paper, and then that way I can kind of rough up that blue paper a little bit more. And I'm doing 2 or 3 layers of stitching, and then I'm adding some stitching to some of the butterflies that I added after I had already done the other stitching. So now here come the flare buttons. So I picked flare from 2 different flare sets. One is a piece of flare. The one that says dream and the one that looks like a finger pointing to the photo, those are both from the same flare set. And I've had those for a little while. And they both have pops of blue in them that kind of look nice with all of the blue on the page and the blue in her um, dress that she's wearing and the blue in her eyes, frankly. And then the other one is a newer one that I've gotten new to me recently, and that's a little flower that is blue, and that's down by the word you. Then as I get going here in that ripped space, I decided I ended up wanting another butterfly there, and then another one over by B, the the B of the word beautiful. And so I went ahead and added those. I wasn't sure where I was going to put the flare, and so I left out a couple of places for butterflies, and then I went back and just added it just now. So let's see. So I'm going to glue everything down. I put a little bit of tangled thread behind my 3 pieces of flare, and then glued down the rest of those butterflies. So this photo was actually taken, it was Labor Day weekend last year, and she had spent the whole day prior to this at Grandma and Grandpa's little, blow up pool that they had, and she had gotten almost burnt. She was so tan and so happy in this picture, and she just looked kind of grown up, but also just so beautiful that I've had it printed for a while. I just hadn't scrapped it yet. I hadn't found the right thing. And when I saw this cut fall, I was like, oh, I really like the idea that it's beautiful you, and I can play on the idea that her name is B. And so I just went with it. So I added some tangled thread behind the photo. I used yellow for all of those places. And then I put a little blue underneath the top left, and I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, and I was still going to try to add some embellishment. So I took that off, and then I end up only adding this one little piece of embellishment, and it's from the die cuts, and it says, "Never stop smiling," which I thought fit perfectly. And I toyed with the idea of adding a few others, but I didn't really like it, so I didn't use them. And then I added that thread back in, and then called it done. And I really like how it turned out. It's kind of simple, but with the die cut so big there on the left, I really felt like I wanted to kind of keep the rest of it a little bit more simple. I love the flare that goes, it matches perfectly the idea, the sentiment, but also the colors. And I have really loved working with the whimsical collection as well. It's just been, I still have a lot of it left, as you could see all those embellishments. So I will for sure have some more. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and I will see you again soon.